right. Hey, everybody, this is JL, the Anti-Guru, and you are listening to Experience with JL, the Anti-Guru podcast. Let me stop the music now, and we're going to jump right into it. I've got a special guest. All right, as I said, we've got a very special guest, very good friend of mine. Going to give you a little bit of rundown of who he is. His name is Stephen Walker. He is the CEO of MannaFest Media, a creative marketing firm located in Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to Richmond. With extensive marketing expertise, he has worked with small businesses, nonprofit organizations, Fortune 500 companies, developing and executing strategic marketing and team building performance plans that have driven clients to greater levels of success. Stephen is well known for his innovative and what is that? Ideation? That's a new word. I don't know that. Ideation skills, which have been instrumental in catapulting his client's brand and company performance to new heights. Also, Stephen Walker is also a renowned purpose and power performance coach. His specialty lies in equipping Christian business owners with the necessary skills, tactics, and techniques to live their lives with purpose and power. So please give a warm welcome to my friend, my good friend, purpose and power coach Stephen Walker, as he joins our show.
All right.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey, thanks for having me on your show, JL. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. It's definitely an honor to have you on here tonight. I'm sure that my guests are definitely going to get a big kick out of what you have to share with us. But we're going to jump right into this interview, and I got a couple of questions that I want to start off with. And but tell me one thing: how did you get started in all of this? Give us a little bit of rundown of how you got started before we get going.
Well, I've been in the business for over 31 years, marketing and advertising, business coaching and development, and work with hundreds of companies. I love just meeting with business owners to get their vision and understand what their needs are. And whatever skill sets I have and talents I have, I use those to help grow their business and help them to do the best they can for their employees and be the best person they can be. And over the years, what's happened is, outside of selling advertising and marketing, I found that business owners have personal needs and some have spiritual needs. Christian business owners have challenges when it comes to building vision and really refreshing the company itself. You go through phases throughout the year, just like there's seasons in a year, there's phases in a business in terms of revenue as well. And so all of that kind of came together after 30 years. And I realized that God had called me to, it's kind of a ministry in business, it's marketplace ministry of helping business owners walk in their purpose and get the power to do that.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about some of these strategies. What strategies do you use to help business owners align their purpose with their business goals?
That's a great question. If you think about it, when a business owner starts a business, the first thing they try to do is look at their skill set and see how to work around that. Okay, this is my skill. How do I create a client base from this skill? And what tends to happen is you get so busy doing the work that you forget about the identity. And oftentimes what happens is a business owner will find over time they kind of lose passion for it. They're just working. No longer is it something they enjoy. And I really help them look at, okay, is there a plan that we can create to integrate the values that are your core values into your business practices? And if you don't really have any core values, if you haven't thought through that, that's something that I help my clients do.
And I can definitely identify with that. I mean, years ago, I was in network marketing, and we always talk about grinding and stuff like that, and being relatively inexperienced, I was grinding but getting no results, and it did back to the point where I just didn't want to even. And now to this point, I don't even. No disrespect to network marketers, they make good money, they do some good things, but it just left a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, sure.
So tell me, how do you help clients who are struggling to balance their personal lives with their business responsibility?
Wow, if you were to ask 100 business owners that question, that's probably the greatest challenge they have outside of generating revenue, month over month to pay their bills. But it comes down to prioritizing, right? So you got your time, and you look at your time and you say, okay, how do I take my time and delegate some of the tasks that are stealing my time away? Oftentimes, business owners are so busy doing the business they forget about working on themselves, and so sometimes you find a business owner. I've had clients that they've always done so much work in their business that they don't have time to work on their family.
Right.
And instead of losing their family and feeling like their company's successful, true success comes when it's a whole 360 degree. It's personal, it's business, it's spiritual. And when all that's in balance, that's when you can do that. And so really, I have them just take a step back and look at their life. Okay, how's things with your spouse if you're married? How are things with your children? How are things with yourself? How are you? And do you have healthy habits? And then I just encourage them to set some boundaries, and that's what's important. You have to set boundaries. If you're going to have self-care, you have to set boundaries.
So give us an example of a client who was able to find greater purpose in their work through your coaching.
Wow, that's a good question. Okay, so I have a couple in mind, but there was one, and I won't say his name, but he runs a communication company out of Milwaukee. And when he contacted me and sought me out for coaching, his business was needed a resurgence. He was looking at, he lost some clients, he needed to gain some new clients. He lost clients through attrition, and so he wanted to do that. But at the same time, I could just tell that things weren't balanced at home, and so we went through a time of really looking at where is he? He's in at that midway point in life, right? He's in his 50s, and he's done well, and he has great talent, but his relationship with his wife wasn't where it needed to be. His son, who was a teenager, he was kind of losing touch with him, and so he really just was. He wanted me to help him rediscover his family and rediscover his purpose through that. And so there was a couple of different things I did. One thing I shared with him was some wisdom that was given to me years ago was, if you want to show someone you love them, join them in the thing they love. And God gave me that years ago when my daughter was just becoming a teenager and she just got distant she got distant. I was a general sales manager for 103.9 The Light in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was the top gospel radio station in the market. Our church was about 3,000 members. I was over the adult Bible study class there. So everything outside of the house was great. But when I came home, my daughter was having her own issues, and so I asked the Lord to help me with that, and that's what He told me. He says, join her in the thing that she loved, and I did. And so I shared that with him, and I said, let's tell me about your son. What is it that he likes? What is he doesn't? What doesn't he like? And he told me that he liked playing this video game where he goes out and discover things in this virtual world. He loves exploring, and I told him, okay, one of the assignments that I gave him was, all right, this is what I want you to do. One of your weekly assignments this week is I want you to go out with your son, and I want you to tell him your job today is to find a 4-leaf clover. Now, have you ever found a 4-leaf clover, JL?
I maybe once. I mean, they're extremely rare.
He went out with his son, and within minutes they found one, and he didn't even really think they existed. Like that wasn't like even a thought. I mean, he's a businessman. I mean, he's not even thinking about a 4-leaf clover, but his son found the clover.
Mm.
They drove to a park, and I think it was a park, and his son found the clover, and it changed everything. Because just discovering together, exploring together. And that's what I told him. I said, we're going to take what your son is doing in the virtual world, we're going to bring it into the real world and have him find a treasure out in the real world. And that just was the beginning of them beginning to figure out things they could do together as father and son, and know that they could really enjoy themselves together, which was great.
That's a beautiful story. Now,
And so that extended out to his business too. From there, he just kind of, once you get your house straight, then you can come back with zeal and purpose with your business. And so it made it easier for him to focus on his company and really grow it.
right. Well, that sounds to me like, when you talk about, I've heard the term self-reflection. So what role does self-reflection play in your coaching process?
Great question. when you're moving ahead so fast, man, growing, and day by day, you got employees, you got clients, but you're not stopping to look at where you are. You're so focused on the future, you're making mistakes in the present. And that's what happens to a lot of business owners. They're so worried about the future. They're not enjoying the journey. They're not looking at today. They're not looking at who they are. They're not looking at even who they're becoming. And so the employees quickly can tell you who that boss is, who the owner is. The wife or the husband, can tell you. But if you were to ask them, okay, who are you? They feel like they're the same person, but they're not. And so being able to just say, okay, look, we're going to stop looking out of windows. We're going to start looking at mirrors. Let's take a look at you. Let's not talk about your spouse. Let's not talk about your children or your workers or your clients. Let's talk about you. And that's a hard thing to do. And the only way that, as a business coach, you can accomplish that is by gaining trust. And I think that's the thing, that one of the gifts that God has given me, because I'm also a pastor. I'm an assistant campus pastor with Thrive Church here in Richmond City, Richmond, Virginia. We have 3 campuses, so I'm over one of the campuses. And, because of that, I care about people. I care about your spiritual needs, your physical needs, your mental needs, your health needs. And so that comes across when I'm coaching. I'm very careful with people.
And then when you were talking about that, I was thinking about myself. I've been in this business since 2013 doing the online thing, and I've gone through a lot of transformations. And when we were talking about success and what is success, I know some people, when you first get started, they talk about the money and cars and the homes and all this kind of stuff. And there was this network marketer, I can't remember, Tam, not Tam Washington, that's one of my friends. So Lawrence Tam was this guy's name. He was cool.
Okay.
And made tons of money. He talked about how he bought all the toys, he got out of the house, he took the trips, and he was totally unfulfilled. And I guess at some point in time, he realized that he had to redefine what success was. And he started going over to Africa and building schools and freshwater wells and things. He said that he realized that was why he was blessed with all of this wealth. It wasn't just for his personal gain, but to be a blessing to other people. And I know my definition of success, because I had to revamp, because I realized that I wasn't going to make $80,000 in a month and all of these kinds of things. So I had to redefine what my idea of success was. Incoming message. Okay, everybody knows that I'm a big Star Trek fan. All of my alerts are Star Trek fans. But my definition of success is the beneficial footprint that I leave on society. How many lives have I changed? How many people have I helped become better because of being around me or being with me, or I do something with them? And that way, it doesn't have to be money. I mean, we all need money. The acquisition of wealth is one of the driving forces. It shouldn't be the only or the main, because like I said, we all need money. But now that I've shifted, I find that I'm a lot more satisfied whether I make $10,000 or I make $1, if I help someone, if they were better, or whatever the help that I gave them that made them better. That's a success story, because it could equate into them reaching their financial goal, which means that maybe they can send their kids to college or whatever. And that's a legacy, I think, I like the word legacy. That's a better term.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about legacy. When your passion connects with your purpose, that's when you get power. And that's why my foundation for my coaching is called Purpose and Power. And you nailed it on the head. When you align that with who you are and what you really desire. A lot of people say if you help enough people, then you'll get what you want, right? And that's not true. I just want to deal with that. That's not even reality. When you help enough people, you start to realize the true value you bring to the world. Mm-hmm. That's what's true. And so I think that's something that you found, and certainly the gentleman you spoke of. I've met many millionaires, and knowing that they had the $200,000, $300,000 cars and all the trinkets and things, and they're some of the saddest people because they don't really know the purpose for their wealth. And the moment that you can help them with that, and that's what I do within my coaching practice, is really help them understand and discover why they were created, the purpose for which they were created by God. And once you start walking on that path to purpose, man, life is beautiful every day.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. So now we're talking about purpose. How do you help your clients stay focused on their purpose and avoid getting distracted by all the other noises in the world, the other private part?
Well, focus. So when it comes to focus, it's about being successful, right? So if you stay focused on the right things, you can become successful. The way I help them is just holding them accountable. Once we develop your purpose and power plan, we look at what it is you're trying to achieve. We look at what resources you have or do not have. We look at the time frame you're trying to work in. But then we know our starting point. And from that point on, it's like you're an athlete. I'm going to put you into training day by day. We're going to work on it. There's no excuses. Failure may happen, but it's not going to keep you out of the game. But the whole thing is, that it's going to take time for you to become successful, just like it takes time to fail. But failure oftentimes is the best lesson on the road to success because you learn things through failure. You'll never learn through success.
No
Right.
doubt.
And so I'm able to coach them through that process because, I think for you to truly be successful and for that to be sustainable, you have to be able to learn from the good and the bad that happens on that path to purpose.
Yeah, and funny you bring up the topic of failure. I know this is a story some people may know, but everybody knows that Thomas Edison was instrumental in creating the light bulb. And somebody talked to him, or I don't know where that came from, but he actually failed 10,000 times trying to create this light bulb. But he said he didn't fail 10,000 times. He just found 10,000 ways that didn't work.
That's right.
And that's definitely my approach because I used to call myself the king of failure. But all of my failures, like you said, they were a learning experience. I learned what not to do. I learned how to avoid some pitfalls, and has steered me in the direction that I'm going now. And that's basically what I try to do with my business is help people to avoid those mistakes and get the results that they're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, who you are is a result of the things that you did good and the things you did wrong, right? The good and the bad. That's who you are. But who you'll become is what you do from here.
Okay.
Will you learn from those lessons and will you do better as you move forward or will you repeat the test? Because life will keep retesting you until you pass it.
No doubt. No. So, Stephen, what advice do you have for business owners who are struggling to find meaning and purpose in their work?
First thing is to give me a call. That would be the first step because that's what I do is to help you discover that. And the second thing that I think is you have to get to a place where you realize that you're growing, right? And I think that if you can realize that you're growing, there's room for growth, then it's okay to be where you are right now. And I think that's the greatest challenge is sometimes when you hit that spot, you feel like you failed. You feel like somehow I made a mistake. And no, these are all growth points. And if you're at a place where you're ready to be taught, definitely reach out to me. I want to, this is what it comes down to. You don't know what you don't know, right? And that's why people get coaches and trainers because they want to go to whole new levels. And I'm able to help them see that their purpose is before them. So we got to discover what it is they don't know, where their challenges may be, where there might be some gaps that we can fill in, and what do we need to put in place to help them to grow and stay strong in the seasons that's ahead.
Great, great. Stephen, I appreciate you coming on. If people want to get in touch with you and get some coaching or whatever, how would they contact
Well, I'm going to do something that most people probably would not do. I'm going to give out my cell phone number.
you? Oh, why
It
not?
is it is 919-208-5478. 919-208-5478. You can call or text, and I will give every one of your viewers, anyone that calls and says JL, I'm with JL, the anti-guru. Just go ahead and let me know that, and I will give you a free 30-minute discovery call where we can talk about some of your challenges and maybe come up with some answers for you. I also have a website, of course, MannaFest Media LLC.com, and that's MannaFest Media LLC.com.
All right, great, great. Stephen, I appreciate you coming on tonight. Um, I really appreciate the props with that. And guys, if you need some coaching, and I've always advocated this, I myself have had mentors and coaches. It helps shorten the learning curve, and it's something that you definitely want to consider. I mean, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I can just figure it out." Well, that take if you want to take that road, you know, because the road to success is not straight up. It's got lots of hills and valleys.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take Stephen up on his offer, I guarantee that you will fast track your learning curve and get to where you want to go just a little bit faster. But this is
All
all
right.
we have for you guys tonight. Stephen, appreciate you coming on. Remember my 3 R's: respect yourself, respect others, and always take full responsibility for your actions. All right, we will see you next week. We're going to end it the same way we started it.